So Joan, how are you feeling today on all ends? We're here at Aladdin and the show just premiered. How are you feeling?
Yeah, that's a lot of feelings, actually, yeah. I mean, I'm really happy that the premiere has now aired, because that was this big thing that was looming, and I was really anxious about what people are gonna think. And then I'm here. So tonight is another crazy night for me after the crazy night last night, because I get to be on Broadway. I get to be in Aladdin.
So let's talk about that. Who did you watch the show with last night premiere? Where did you watch it? Did you have a viewing party?
So I'm here in New York, which is not where I live. So I just had a few people here. So one of my daughters, Allie, came, and two of my best friends came, and my goddaughter who lives here, and another good friend. So there were just 5 of us, well, 6 of us. But there were watch parties all over the place, and I FaceTimed into a bunch of them, so I felt like I was there, and everybody was giving me their predictions, and then people were, my good friends were texting me and telling me who they thought and what they thought of scenes and which ones they liked, and so I felt like I was part of a lot of watch parties, even though I just had my little one in my hotel room.
Now, I know you said your mom's coming to the show tonight.
Yeah.
Did she watch last night? Was she there? What were her thoughts?
She watched last night. She lives in a retirement community in Maryland, and they hosted a big party in her apartment building, her condo building. And so she was the host of a big party at the age of 92, and she had a big button that said, "I'm the mother of the Golden Bachelorette." It was so cute. Yeah.
Love it. And now, how do you feel? I mean, you look back at the show, you filmed it a while ago.
Yeah.
Were there moments that you forgot about? Were there moments that you were surprised? How are you feeling looking back at the show now?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because it did start filming a while back, and so I've stepped away from it for a couple months, at least from the premiere, or from the the limo arrival night. And I did remember things. So the general feeling and some of the things that the guy said, I remembered really well. And then little things I got to watch, and I was like, oh, I forgot that. But what I really liked about watching it was I don't see what happens in the mansion, because I'm out in the driveway the whole time. And I loved their interaction. That was the greatest part of last night. It was so fun to watch how how they took care of each other and how they welcomed each other in. And then I love to hear the comments about me, they were hilarious.
Which one was the one that stood out to you the most?
Just about how, so one of the guys was talking about how nervous he was, and he's like, I made a total fool of myself, and she was so nice, and she tried to make me feel comfortable, which was, I remember getting out of the limo when I was on the Golden Bachelor, and I was terrified. And I remember Gary taking my hands and trying to make me feel better, and I was squeezing them really tight, and he goes, "You're kind of hurting me." It's I'm so sorry. So my goal was to try to make them feel comfortable, and I feel like I did that.
I always love watching, when they do come out of the limo, what people say, what they do, what they bring. I mean, you had prune juice, chicken soup, you had a horse and carriage.
Yeah.
What did you love the most? What did you not like as much?
Oh my gosh. So, well, I kind of love all the original entrances, or all the ones that have a little play, because it's really hard to remember everybody really well. So if they did something, I can remember what they did and then what they said to me. I can connect those, even if I don't have a name. I can look at a picture and figure out who they are. But the ones that don't have something interesting to do are a little harder to remember. So I love all the entrances. I thought the funniest one with the guy who came up on the horse. I thought it was really funny how the horse ran down the driveway right when he got off. And I'm like, the horse is leaving.
Is that a sign?
Is that a problem?
And now you gave Keith your first impression rose. Why Keith? What was that decision about for you?
So I loved the big old station wagon that Keith came in on, because when I was growing up, I think we had that big old ugly station wagon, and that's kind of how we traveled. I didn't grow up with I was very middle class, and we drove to vacations. We would drive 20 hours to Florida or whatever. So it was kind of nostalgic for me, which I really liked. It kind of just made me feel comfortable. And then we sat on the hood of the car and we talked for a little while, he was also easy, the conversation flowed really easily. And then he said, as it was kind of our time to for him to leave and the next person to come in, he goes, "Let's just get out of here and go to the beach and grab a bottle of wine and sit and talk." And I was like, oh God, that's exactly what I'd like to do. So he just made me feel really comfortable and safe. So his entrance was cool, but that's not why I gave him the rose. It was more about the way he made me feel.
And I know you said you haven't felt that since your late husband.
Yeah.
So is he in the running? Is this someone who's up there that we may or may not see at the final rose ceremony?
Keith is a special guy, and I think that's probably all I can tell you, but you can base it on he got a rose the first night, that he's not going home anytime soon.
And now, Joey G, I've interviewed him several times,
Yeah.
such a lovely man.
Yeah.
I did not realize that his fiance's dad was one of the suitors. Were you shocked by that? Were you amazed by it?
So I remember on Joey's season, when Kelsey brought Joey home to meet her father, how much I just loved his personality, what a great father he was, and kind of how soft-spoken he was. And I texted one of the producers that night, and one of the executive producers, and I said, if I'm the Golden Bachelorette, I'm going to need Mark on my season. So I was very happily surprised when he came, and they kind of alluded to it on Joey's finale that Jesse pointed him, was like, are we going to see you next season? And so I was happy when they came, when she got out of the limo to introduce him.
So you willed it into existence.
I did. It works, maybe. Who knew?
That's what you have to do in love, right? You will it into existence.
Yeah,
and
you have to want it.
You have to want it. And you also, we have a little teaser. Gerry, he came back.
He sure did.
What was that reunion like for you? Had you seen him since the last season?
I have seen him. We did Celebrity Family Feud, so I saw him at that. I loved having him back. He and I are good friends, and so he was the original Golden Bachelor. He kind of wrote the rule book a little bit, and I loved having him back to talk through things. He's really, 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 he's a good friend, and he is a smart guy, and he knows how to do this.
Leaving it out there.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
So you never know. He might get back into the running, maybe.
I cannot spill those beans.
Brett might kill me. And what did your kids say? You look back, you're in there, you're doing the viewing party. What were their thoughts on everything for the night?
From last night, I've only talked to 2 of my kids at this point about it, but I got texts from them and way to go, Mom. I haven't talked in detail about them, but their overall impression was they felt like I did really well, and I don't think I embarrassed them too much. So they're still speaking to me. Yeah, I only kissed one guy.
Well, do you think you were portrayed fairly? Because I got the sense that, and even just now speaking to you, you have such a great personality, and that did come through last night. Do you feel you were portrayed fairly?
Yeah, I do. I was really pleased with the way that everything was presented. I really feel like night one, honestly, is more about the contestants or the people coming in than about me. People kind of know me a little bit, and it's really about hearing their stories. So I felt like that came out in a really good way. I was just kind of the person that, that helped the story along, but we got to learn about the guys, and that was the important part of last night, really. Now,
I know a lot of these guys aren't close to where you live, your family is there. What are you really looking for in a guy? Because you are such a good family mom. You want everyone to be close together.
Yeah, I do. I love having all my family really close to me. So I've been asked that a lot of times because geographics is is really into play when you're this age. You've spent a lot of time building your life. I've spent 61 years raising my family and establishing my home and having great friends. And I love my life the way it is. And I would want a guy kind of the same way, that treasures his family and is really willing to leave them. That tells me about a guy, and has a rich life. And so the geographics is an issue, but I think it also is maybe a good thing. So I want somebody who is willing to come and play in the good parts of my life, and I'll go play in the good parts of their life. And it's okay to be separate for a while, and maybe not forever, but that's the way it starts. That feels fine, and actually feels like a positive and not a negative to me.
Because you do have to feel somebody out. You have to get to know them, see how you feel when you're with them, when you're without them.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you like their friends? How you're with their family? Yeah.
And the rest of the season, what can you tease? What can we expect coming up for the rest of the season?
So not a drama-filled season. So if you're looking for drama, you might be disappointed, but I don't think you're going to be, because it is filled with such genuine emotion, and the way that we all kind of did it together. The 25 of us, the 24 guys and myself, helped each other through these weird things that we didn't know that we'd be feeling. Because you got to imagine that whoever's there got there, or in their 50s and 60s and single, not by things went perfectly in their life. Life doesn't go perfectly, and something has happened that they are this age and single. So like we have those conversations and they're important, and I hope they resonate, you know, outside of Bachelor Nation and Bachelor, you know, outside of the mansion, and people like, you know, get that it's, you know, it's hard dating at this age, but it's so worth it if you really want to find love, that, you know, it's worth the, you know, the struggles that you go through.
Because, you know, love doesn't have an age, it doesn't have a number on it, so you can get love and find love at any age.
People do. You hear those stories all the time about like the people in the nursing homes falling in love. So we're not nursing homes, but, you know, we're not also, you know, the regular Bachelor and Bachelorettes. You know, we're a little different. It's just a little different.
Listen, I looked at the guys yesterday and I was like, he's doing a one-handed push-up and he's
Seriously.
like 64. Like,
I know. They are really in shape guys, and like that's a great part of the story, but their backstories are really interesting, how they were single dads and how they raised, like so many of them had 3 daughters, and like that's hard for a guy. I'm sure that was like a big challenge, and like that, all those conversations are really, really, really important, as well as they're pretty good looking and in good shape.
and at this point, they don't have anything to prove, so.
That's right, other than that they like me.
That is the most important thing that they have to
very
prove.
important.
But I mean, like, they're all settled. They've had their careers. Some of them are retired. Some of them, you know, they're on to their 3rd career, possibly.
Right, you're right. And like they're ready to live like this next part of their life, which is really important. Like living, like we've all like worked really hard and built lives and stuff. And I think a lot of us felt like, you know, now we're ready to do the like the enjoying part of the life. You know, you've done a lot of the work, you figured out what your life is going to be like, and now it's time to really enjoy it. And that's what I lost when my husband passed away. I felt like all those plans we had for the future were gone. And so now I'm ready to find somebody else to like fill in that like big dark black hole that's out there right now.
And, you know, you are playing the fortune teller today at Aladdin. What if you were to go see a fortune teller? What would you want to hear from her?
Oh, wow, that's really good. Well, I would ask about love, like if I was going to like have a second chance at a great love, and yeah, I would love to know about that. I'm a little afraid of fortune tellers. I can't say I really believe in them, but I really don't want to hear something bad, so I probably wouldn't go anyway.
I'm always a little superstitious because if they say something that I want to happen, I'm like, oh, I think you might just jinxed it.
Yeah, or the other way around, like they say something you didn't want to happen, and like they actually are real. They actually know things.
But I do feel strongly that, you know, and I know you know the answer, but I do feel strongly that you are going to come out of this happy.
Big smile here.
And if anything, you have a new career on Broadway.
I don't think we can call this my career. I'm terrified. We'll see tonight. Come back in about 5 hours. We'll see.
You're going to do good. I'm being your fortune teller. I'm saying everything's going to go good. You're going to break a leg. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Perfect. Anything else that we want to talk about for the season coming up?
I am good.
For today?
I just say tune in. You're going to meet some great guys.
And